Okay, so now let's start with the new module, which is getting started with Azure AI Foundry. Undoubtedly, I should mention this, guys, that this is one of my favorite Azure AI service. And if you are a developer or a data scientist, I'm sure you're also going to love this. In this particular module, we are going to start with what is exactly Azure AI Foundry. Most of the time, people know Azure AI Foundry portal because that's what they have used for deploying large language models. But in this case, we'll understand Azure AI Foundry with all the aspects, with all the components which it includes. And then after this, we'll move forward to grounding a generative AI app with your own data. So there are various things which you can do with Azure AI Foundry. One of the things is providing a grounding data. We'll talk about that. After this, we have a topic which we need to understand in depth, which is RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Uh, this is one of the most important topic if you want to associate your own data with your large language models. And then this is going to be very important if you do not want to waste your time in fine tuning and retraining of your model. After this, we will understand another important topic of Azure AI Foundry, which is known as prompt flows. Basically, these are workflows which are created with the help of your prompt-based logic. And after this, we are going to use retrieval augmented generation in prompt flow. So basically, we will combine RAG and prompt flow, and that is what we are going to discuss. Finally, the last topic of this module will be deploying a prompt flow. Now, all these things we are going to understand as a conceptual thing right now. And if you are interested in any of the practical labs associated with this, we will surely going to create this for you in the coming modules. Now, let me just make it clear once again. I hope you have seen my previous videos where we discuss one thing, that when you are trying to develop generative AI applications, you have two different ways. The first way is your Microsoft Copilot Studio, which is actually software as a service, and it's a low code kind of an environment that is perfect for you if you're not a pro coding kind of a developer or data scientist. But if you are looking for a pro code kind of a platform as a service, then you have the service which is known as Azure AI Foundry. Azure AI Foundry is a platform that empowers developers to innovate with AI and shape the future. It provides a collaborative environment with enterprise-grade security where you can explore, build, test, and deploy AI tools and machine learning models through the integration with AI services. Azure AI Foundry is a platform as a service, as I mentioned, which means that this is actually giving you a fully professional development portal where you can actually deal with multiple models, which is not only including Microsoft and OpenAI models, it also includes models from Hugging Face, Meta, DeepSeek, and many more. And in this case, you will be able to fine tune your model. You will be able to integrate those things with the prompt flow. You will be able to orchestrate the conversational flow with the help of prompt flow, and you can add your own data. There are a lot many things which you can do, which we are going to discuss in depth in this particular module. On top of this, we have additional services available in Azure AI Foundry, which are actually helping you to do the evolution of your GPT models, and you will be able to test the performance, scalability, reliability, and the responsible AI safety. So all these things are included as one package in your Azure AI Foundry service. Now let's talk about what is Azure AI Foundry and what kind of component it has inside that. The first thing which you need to understand is there are two components which you need to understand: AI hubs and AI projects. AI Hub in Azure AI Foundry are the top level resources that provide a centralized setup and management for AI projects. Basically, this is going to help you to group your multiple projects under one umbrella. If you have used Azure Portal and if you have created cloud resource deployments in that, I'm sure you are familiar with something called resource group. AI Hub is very similar to that. One AI Hub can have multiple AI projects inside that. This AI Hubs offers features like data upload, artifact storage, connections with Azure services, base model endpoint, compute resources, and governance control. You can perform multiple tasks on the AI Hub level, like you can create and manage connections to resources such as data store, GitHub, Azure AI search indexes, and many more. You can create and manage compute instances also on which you can run experiments, prompt flows, and custom code. You can set up a security by creating members and assigning them to a specific roles. And you can also set up governance by defining policies to manage behavior, such as automatic compute shutdown. All these configurations you will be able to control and manage at AI Hub level. Inside one AI Hub, you can have multiple AI projects. Your projects are organizational containers within a hub that allow for AI customization and orchestration. They help you to organize your work, save the state across different tools like prompt flow, and collaborate with others. Your projects can use shared resources from AI Hub and have a dedicated storage container for uploading files and sharing with project members. Within an AI project, you can deploy foundation models from the model catalog, which is available in Azure AI Foundry projects. You can taste the models, you can deal with the models inside the playground. You can also augment prompts by connecting a custom data sources and connections, and you can build copilots with prompt flow. You can evaluate model and application performance by using built-in or custom metrics, and you can also manage the deployments of your model and apps. All these things you can do inside AI projects. Just for your kind information, anytime you want to use Azure AI Foundry, you at least have to create one project inside one AI hub. Now, let's talk about what is Azure AI Foundry portal. Well, this is one centralized environment where you can deploy and taste your model from the model catalog. So basically, this is going to help you to create a project, allow you to browse the model from the model catalog, and easily deploy those models, and then you can taste the model by using the chat playground which is available inside Azure AI Foundry. Let me tell you, before Azure AI Foundry portal, there were multiple portals which were available, which we normally used to call Studio. So we were having, or I can say we still have, Azure AI Language Studio, Vision Studio, Document Intelligence Studio kind of things. Azure AI Foundry portal is actually bringing all of this together. So somewhere, if you are interested in generative AI and you are trying to explore generative AI models from various providers, then Azure AI Foundry is that one place which you have to try. As you can see in the slide right now, I'm showing you a screenshot where you have a section for model catalogs. This model catalog section is going to give you OpenAI models like GPT-4o, GPT-3, DALL-E, DaVinci. It's also going to give you Microsoft models. It's going to give you Llama models. And very recent, the new edition of the model which is available, DeepSeek R1, is also available in the model catalog. You can check the performance of the model, you can compare the model, you can deploy the model, and you can actually fine-tune and customize these models from the model catalog. Now let's say I have selected one of the model like GPT-4 model. It's actually going to give you the description of that particular model, which version it is right now available inside that, what kind of token configurations are required for that. It's also going to give you an option to deploy the model, fine-tune model, or you can just make sure that what kind of deployments are configured with this. Or you can just add on your own data with the configuration of that particular model. This one is a screen which is showing you the chat playground where we are actually associating a deployment of the model. So this is my sample deployment which I have done. A chat playground is basically going to give you three sections. The left side section, which is showing you system message, is allowing you to customize the AI system message associated with that. The right side part is actually showing you a playground where you will be able to type some kind of a prompt as a user question, and then your LLM model is going to respond based on that. Like we are asking a question, what is AI, and is actually giving you the response associated with that. You also have a third section which is helping you to customize this, and that is something which is the top bar. You can see that inside the playground itself, you have a section where you will be able to export, you will be able to see the view code, you can associate with the prompt flow, or you can evaluate, or maybe you can deploy to a web application if you want to use this thing as a proper chatbot. All these options are available in the playground, and we are surely going to try all these things in our next video, which is going to be the lab of this module. Hey guys, sorry for interruption. My name is Maruti and I'm here to make a very important announcement. I hope you are liking our videos and you're doing a continuous learning with us on an Azure cloud and AI related topics. If you are enjoying this thing, I'm going to announce skilltech.club, which is our upcoming website, which is going to be launched very soon. We are here to tell you one thing, that everyone who is a subscriber of this particular channel will get Azure Cloud and Azure AI related certification courses free of cost in skilltech.club. So you will be a part of the skilltech.club kind of a membership automatically free of cost. And everyone who's a subscriber of this particular channel will get those benefits which are available in that. So what are you waiting for? I request you to please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and families if they are also interested in Azure Cloud and AI learning. That's it from my side. Now you can carry on with your learning. Thank you. Now let's say you have created a generic base generative AI assistant that uses a general knowledge on which it was trained. Basically, if you ask a question, it's going to give you an answer from that general knowledge. But the model responses are not interesting and it doesn't know anything about your own data. When this kind of things are there, you have to make sure that you are going to integrate your own data. And that is where the grounding is something which is coming in the picture. So you can see in the slide, we are talking about grounding a generative AI with your own data. This is one of the most common requirements for most of my clients when I teach them generative AI. The obvious question which most organizations ask is, how can I associate this large language based models with my own data? And the answer is, you can do this thing with the grounding content. Now, in order to understand this thing, let's understand the concept of groundedness first. Groundedness refers to whether the response of a language model is based on some factual information or not. The main limitation of LLMs is that they do not have an access to data which is protected by farewell, and their knowledge is frozen in a specific period of time. And that is something which is based on the time of training of that model. For example, consider the two scenarios which are shown in this particular slide. In the left side, you have ungrounded scenario in which the model is going to generate an answer to a questions about a product based on the data which it was trained, which in the case of many large language models essentially means the whole of the internet. The model used the text which it was trained with the generated coherent, grammatically correct and appropriate answer, but it's not based on a validated data source. It might reference to a real product that happened to be included in the training data, or it might be even just an invent a product. The goal of the model is to just provide an answer to the question. Even if the answer is not grounded in reality, this is not going to focus on that. Now, if you check the example here in the left side section, we are asking a question, what product should I use to do X? Now, a grammatically correct but uncontextualized response is going to be generated with this particular model. While on the other hand, if I have a grounded scenario, a specific data source is going to be used to provide the context for the interaction. So basically in this case, your LLM is actually going to have some kind of a product catalog where it can actually refer to a specific catalog in which it can find the product and it can relate with the person's intent when they're asking some particular questions. In this kind of scenarios, the answer will be grounded in reality and it's based on the product information from the catalog data, and that's going to have a more contextualized response. Obviously, grounded data and groundedness is going to improve your response quality, and it's also going to improve your customer satisfaction. That's the reason your LLM has to associate with the grounding data with that. Now the question is, how exactly we can do this thing? Well, the name of the topic which is helping you to do this thing is this, which is known as retrieval augmented generation. Even though language models are trained on a vast amount of data, they may not have an access to the knowledge which you want to make available to your users. To ensure that your AI chat app is grounded on a specific data to provide accurate and a domain-specific response, you can use retrieval augmented generation. This is a technique that you can use to ground a language model. In other words, it's a process for retrieving information that is relevant to the user's initial prompt. In general terms, RAG pattern incorporates the multiple steps which are mentioned here. You can see that there are three steps which are there. Step number one is retrieve grounding data based on the initial user entered prompt. Step number two is augment the prompt with grounding data. And step number three is use a language model to generate a grounded response. These three steps are going to be followed with the help of retrieval augmented generation, and that's what this term means. Using RAG is a powerful and easy to use technique for many cases in which you want to ground your language model and improve the factual accuracy of your AI chat app's responses. When we are using retrieval augmented generation, we have to prefer to use embeddings for data retrieval. Now, while the text-based index will improve your search efficiency, you can usually achieve a better data retrieval solution by using a vector-based index that contains embeddings that represent the text tokens in your data source. An embedding is a special format of data representation that a search engine can use to easily find the relevant information. And this is extensively used in all the transformer-based GPT models. And this is extensively used in most of the modern transformer-based large language models. More specifically, an embedding is a vector of floating point numbers. Now, to understand this thing, let's have a look at the slide. We have an example here where imagine you have two different documents with a different kind of a content in it. The left side document, document number 1, is having a statement that the children played joyfully in the park, while the right side document, which is document number 2, is having a statement, kids happily run around the playground. In this case, these two documents contain text that are semantically related even though different words are used. By creating vector embeddings for the text in the document, the relation between the words in the text can be mathematically calculated. Imagine the keyword being extracted from the document and plotted as a vector in a multi-dimensional space, as it is visible in this particular graph. The distance between vector can be calculated by measuring the cosine of the angle between two vectors. It also known as the cosine similarity. In other words, the cosine similarity computes the semantic similarity between the document and a query. By representing words in their meanings with vectors, you can extract relevant context from your data source even when your data is stored in a different format like text or images and many multiple languages. When you want to be able to use vector search to search your data, you need to create embeddings when creating your search index. To create embeddings for your search index, you can use Azure OpenAI embedding models which are available in the Azure AI Foundry. If you are interested in using this kind of an embedding models, we have a lab available on this on our YouTube channel, which you can check out here on this particular link. Now let's have a look at the next thing, which is prompt flow and the components of the prompt flow. So if your question is what are prompt flow, the answer is prompt flow is a feature within the Azure AI Foundry that allows you to author flows. Basically, it's allowing you to create an executable workflows. Flows are nothing but this kind of executable workflows which are integrating with language models. As you can see here in this particular slide, we have some kind of an initial prompt from the user, and then we want to add a conversational history on top of it. And on top of this combined conversational history, we want to add some relevant data and data sources. We want to add relevant data from data source. When you do this thing, you are going to have a logical flow which is going to execute all these things sequentially. And based on all these historical things, is going to give you the response. So basically, it's going to combine the data and history for grounding context with initial prompt, and then it's going to prepare one response. This kind of a logical execution can be customized with the help of prompt flow. And that's the reason this is going to help you to author flow with the components to retrieve data, call the language model, execute your own code in which you can actually mention the code in Python, and many more. All these things will be possible with the help of prompt flow. Now let's understand prompt flow components properly. Prompt flow is a feature of Azure AI Foundry portal. So remember, these author flows are only available within Azure AI Foundry portal. These flows are executable workflows, so it's going to help you to basically focus on three different things. Most of the time, every prompt flow is going to focus on inputs, outputs, and in between input and output, you're going to have multiple nodes which can be having multiple tools associated with that. Your inputs represent the data which is passed into the flow. Basically, this is that initial data on which your prompt flow will start working. It can be different data types like string, integers, or boolean. After inputs, you're going to have multiple nodes. which represent tools that perform data processing, task execution, or some kind of algorithmic operations, which may or may not require to have association with your existing LLM connection. As I mentioned earlier, in these nodes, you can actually write a custom logic with the help of Python language. And finally, you're going to have outputs, which represent the data which is produced by the flow. This output can be further used in the response which you're going to give it to your users. When we talk about tools, some common tools which are used as a nodes are LLM tools, prompt tools, and Python tools. LLM tools are going to enable custom prompt creation utilizing your large language models. Your prompt tool is going to prepare prompts as a string for complex scenarios for integration with the other tools. And your Python tools are going to allow you to execute a custom Python script in that. Which tool you're going to use, LLM, prompt tool, or Python tool, is something which depends on your custom logic which you want to build with your prompt flow. Now, because we understood retrieval augmented generation and prompt flow both, the common question which people ask is, can we combine both of them? The answer is 100% yes. The key to use RAG pattern in the prompt flow is to use an index lookup tool to retrieve data from an index so that a subsequent tool in the flow can use the result to augment the prompt used to generate output from an LLM. Now, when we do this thing, this tool is going to help you to connect with your retrieval augmented generated index, is going to look up into that index, and then using that is going to get the context of that. Now, as you can see here, this whole process is designed here with the 5 steps. In the step number 1, you're going to add your data to your Azure AI project. In step number 2, you're going to have an index your data with Azure AI search. So basically up to this point, your searching and indexing is what which is going to come into the picture. After this, you're going to query your index data in a prompt flow with the index lookup tool. This is a separate tool available and you can add it here. This index lookup tool will directly associate with your Azure AI search index. Then, based on that, it's going to reference the retrieval context in the prompt and then it's going to send the prompt with the context to a large language model. This is going to give you a more refined way to generate the response based on your own customized lookup data. Now, last but not the least, once we are happy with our prompt flow configurational logic, we can deploy it to an endpoint. Now, when we say we are deploying to an endpoint, it's actually going to be working like a REST-based API service. It's going to give you a REST endpoint. You can then consume this endpoint from your client application and you can implement generative AI functionalities in your application. Any developer who knows how to use REST-based APIs can actually deal with this deployed endpoint of your prompt flow. You are going to follow the structure like this. Your endpoint with your prompt flow logic is going to be deployed on the Azure cloud. You will be processing all this request on the Azure cloud only. But your client application is going to be connected with this particular service using that endpoint, where you're going to make get, post, put, delete kind of a REST-based request, which will be further processed onto the cloud side. This is how you're going to communicate between your client application and your custom logic, which you have built and deployed using a prompt flow. With this module is coming to an end. I hope you understood Azure AI Foundry service and you understood the different components which are there. But I honestly say this thing, that you will be able to understand this thing with crystal clear clarity when you go through our lab videos which are available on Skill Tech Club YouTube channel. I strongly recommend you to go through those labs which are available for Azure AI Foundry, and those are going to be really important. Still, if you have any doubts or questions, your friend Maruti is always available. Please put a question in the comment of this particular video and I'll be more than happy to guide you on that. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.